Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, wherever you're joining us from around the world, and those of you who are potentially going to watch this back later on. I'm here today with Benedicte Hagen Mjøs from, uh, how do I put this? You're in the Nordics. Whenever I speak to you, you're in a different place. So I'm actually not going to put a place on you because I actually just realized I don't know where you are today. So that's my first one. We're keeping this live. We're doing it real. Benedict will tell us in a minute. But we're actually really excited because both of us are co-creating Green Vision Summit and Expo with Sabrina and the whole of the GSE team. And I wanted to bring Benedicte on today to give you a bit of her ideas as to why she's doing this, why she's actually investing in this. Because Benedicte's got a really interesting background. She comes a bit like me from industry. She's got a long history as a leader in industry. And she's brought herself forward and is creating something quite different with the work that she's now doing. So she's similar to the kind of things that I do, but she's an international advisor, strategist, and leadership coach. And she's creating concepts such as I can't even say it, unanimity in business and leadership, and creating the path of hope. So she's actually trying to drive transformative change, scaling innovation, fostering collaboration, and trying to help leaders, companies, and governments worldwide to go on this change to a more sustainable future. So I think you can probably already understand why Benedicte and I get on quite well. This is going to be hopefully a fun conversation. Please feel free to comment. Please feel free to ask us something. But on that note, I'm going to actually let Benedicte give us a bit more of an intro to herself, because I always think it's nice to hear from the person as to actually who they are, because you actually get the heart of it.
Well, thank you, Sarah, and thank you for inviting me to this conversation about the Green Vision and about what we're doing here. And as you said my name, so everyone knows my name. And I think it's always hard to describe what I'm doing because I'm doing a lot of things. It's a bit like being multi-passionate because it's so many things I care for. But to be very, very short, it's about people and about the earth and the planet. And it can be many things who are good for the people, good for the planet. But as you said, I'm working internationally. I'm mostly based in Norway, where I come from. And I do travel a lot, but I have a family and I like to be here in Norway, where I am now, as much as possible as well. So, but I very much enjoy having like the global community of people and doing change work for different kind of countries, different kind of companies.
Yeah, that broad spectrum of understanding sort of the bigger context, but actually being able to zoom in and focus in on like specifics with a business is always quite fun. And I know we've had this conversation before. Is like you're trying to work globally, but you're always locally in actually what you're doing. So let's start with what it is for you. What is that one change? If you could just like literally click your fingers and make a change in the world with no negative consequences, what would it be?
I think then I would like to give a gift, actually. A gift that would be to each person in the planet, and it should be a simple but profound gift. It should be a gift of insight, I think, and awareness, and it's actually the gift of reconnecting. The gift of reconnecting to yourself and what truly matters to you and the people around you. I think it's such a great gift when you find it, when you're able to reconnect to yourself, understand what truly matters, and then you can sort of bring that out in the world in a good way. And because then you realize also that you always, always, always have a choice. You can choose to be led by fear, or you can choose to be led by the opposite, which is like hope and trust. And as soon as you become aware of this, like in a very, very clear moment, your life and the life of others will change. So, and also just to say that when I'm talking about hope now, hope and trust, which I like so much, hope is the belief that the future can be better and that you can do something to make it so. And I'm not talking about wanting or wishing for something. In wishing, you have no power over the outcome. I'm not talking positive thinking. I'm talking really hard work, because hope requires hard work every day. Yeah, just to mention one quote from someone I really love, an American writer called Susan Collins. She said, "Hope is the only thing stronger than fear." So I really enjoy that quote, and it's all about choosing hope instead of fear. But in order to do so, you need first to reconnect and sort of understand what's going on. Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because what you're talking about is a lot of what we're seeing in the world currently is being run by fear. And a lot of people's behaviors are being run by fear. And only by increasing our consciousness can we understand that we still get a choice and we get to choose how we show up. And obviously, this is a big area where you and I can talk probably for a whole day, and we won't put everyone else through this. But what do you see would actually physically change in the world if that was to happen? If everyone was to become more aware, then what is it that you would see that would be different in our living, in our view daily of the world?
Well, I think first of all, as soon as you connect and all the nonsense and all the fuss sort of go away, it's very clear. Life isn't that complicated, and what feels true and the things you really want to do isn't that complicated either. And another great thing about that is that also when more and more people sort of choose hope, even more people choose hope because it's so contagious. It's so contagious. We see that from so many, times in our history, in war or disasters or in companies, where you're able to sort of foster that hope, and it grows and grows and grows, and it goes into this very positive, forward leaning way of living or working. And it's fantastic to see how this can expand and expand in this, in on a personal level, on a company level, and then on a society level.
Yeah, totally. So this is, again, it's about the energy and following that energy. And once the energy turns and you're showing up with a different energy, it is infectious. We see this, and this is obviously why communities come together and how you actually find people who are resonating with what it is that you're talking about. So fundamentally, I mean, you've started creating a framework around this, and I was going to get to this later, but actually I think it's quite a nice kind of lead into it straight away. What is the framework about? What is it you're trying to help people do?
Well, we founded Path of Hope last year, actually. I've always been very interested in the concept of hope. Actually, I've been working also a lot earlier in my life, and also now I'm on the board of a big organization working on mental health and also to prevent suicide. And from that work, we learned so much about how hope really is such a critical type of quality that we can train. And it was so fantastic working with people who had literally very, very little hope, and then being able to sort of train that capacity and increase hope in themselves, but also, with businesses. It's so fantastic. My background is from the industry, and very often I've been responsible for strategy, vice president strategy in different companies. And it's not difficult to make strategies, really good strategies, but it's really difficult to implement them and make them into something that really happens. And in that work, I actually realized afterwards that what we were doing was cultivating hope there as well. And by doing that, we open up for even more innovation and I would say a resilience as well. to be able to stand strong in what you have decided in a strategy, and then go for it and stay there, right? When
So it's
the
bringing,
going
no,
yeah.
what I like about this is obviously it's about how you're engaging the people in what it is that you're trying to achieve, not just, for the goal, but actually for the journey of it as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And when we founded the Path of Hope, we wanted to do retreats. So we took people to small islands or to places in nature where we sort of worked on nurturing hope. But now we're doing it in conferences, we're going around in companies. So it's a lot of places where we need to work on that capacity. Yeah. Yeah.
So what are the changes that you see, just say if you're doing this with a group, what are the kind of outcomes? What's the feedback that you get at the end of these type of sessions?
When we first started talking about hope, especially to corporates, it's easier in on a society level, and in groups in the society. But as soon as we start talking to companies about this, they are a little bit like, it sounds a bit weak. It's almost like when we started working with culture and cultural development in companies many years back, it was, the fuzzy stuff that HR is working on and these things. And now everyone realized that building culture is hard work from everyone every day and needs to be in the practices of what we're doing every day. And that's the same with hope. So they realize that this is hard work, and it's so fantastic that we can measure the progress as well. And like you can measure the progress and see effects on innovation, for example, which is really key, both in terms of sustainable development and company development and society development.
Yeah, nice. And obviously, as a B Corp, I'm always looking to measure impact. So that's one of the things. See, actually being able to measure this is really important in obviously what's able to come out of it. So as we kind of fly that forward into the Green Vision Summit and Expo, I'd just like to kind of like pull back one step. You'll obviously be talking about this during the summit. You will be sharing with the participants what it is that you do. But overall, why are you getting involved? What is it or what's your intention with getting involved in the Green Vision Summit and Expo?
First of all, it started as I guess as something I just had to do because the people working in Green Vision and with Green Vision are really nice, yourself including, and Sabrina is the CEO, the whole team. But specifically also, the kind of advisors we bring in, the kind of contributors, the speakers, these fantastic people who would like to come to Malta and contribute not only to a fantastic conference, but also to a change journey that we are starting now. So first and foremost, for me, it was the people. I found sort of a tribe here, which it really resonates with me. And it's a tribe that are not willing to rest. It's a tribe that will create action. It's a tribe that is so authentic and true about what they want and how they do it. And when it's true and authentic, then I'm sold. I I need to do it. And I think also because this, as I said, this is not a one-time event and let's make a nice summit and let's go home, because now we're starting a change journey, a journey of collective drive and collective hope. And it's not, I think we will be able to actually make a real impact for the nation of Malta, a real growth opportunities, like really positive for the people there and the economy. But also, this is a global journey. So Green Vision will contribute to sustainable growth in many societies, I think, in the years to come. So this is a journey that we start now. And yeah, it's fantastic to be part of it.
Interesting, isn't it? It comes back to what you were saying earlier about it being about the people, it being about the journey, it being about finding the people who can help you create that journey for a more sustainable future. But I guess we talk, and you and I, you and me and Sabrina, you and me and Kathleen and Susan and everyone else, we're talking all the time about how to take action, how this isn't just a summit where people are going to be turning up, sitting down, having a nice coffee together. This is, like you say, the start of a change journey. So why do you believe that, taking action now is important?
Well, I don't necessarily think it's more important now than 1 month ago, 1 year ago. What is important, though, is to go from talking to action, right? From wishing to impact, and from fear to active hope. And it's done through us and with us, and with people, with companies, with governments. So, but still, what I do think speaks in favor of taking the action now is that more and more people are becoming aware. We talked about that earlier as well, to become aware and to reconnect with yourself. And when people connect deeper with themselves and understand what matters, I think that's happening everywhere now, all around the globe. Because the inner fear, and we are still driven by fear, and still running around trying to do a lot of stuff. And probably it's like I only need to do a couple of the things I'm actually doing, and not all the stuff I think I have to do. But then I remember that I can stop, pause, reconnect, and then I'm becoming awake again. And then I understand what really matters. And that's so fantastic in the world today. And I think I really saw that during the pandemics as well. I had a lot of talks with people, and many people had some clear moments at that time where it was silence, more of pausing, more of being. And many actions were agreed at that time, and people took a choice at that time to live different and to act different, right? To reconnect to their people, to themselves, to communities, and the truth of what matters became evident. And I think this is what we are trying to do in Green Vision as well, to show what is really true and what really matters. We're not going to talk about a lot of different stuff, but of the things that really matters, and sort of open the awareness, open the eyes of the people and ourselves.
Yeah, yes, and ourselves. I like that you put that on the end. We've got Sabrina in the chat talking about taking action and impact. Yes, we are, obviously, this is something that Kathleen's also commenting around these points. So these are other people who are co-creating this journey. Sabrina's obviously the one running it. She's the CEO of GSE. This whole point about taking action is something that we're all very passionate. Anyone who's involved with the Green Vision Summit and Expo is that we want to obviously not just be another talk shop. We want to be that space where we can help leaders take action. But we also, all of us believe, and I'd like your opinion on this, Benedicte, is this, why is it so important that we co-create with other change makers? Why we come together and collaborate and kind of get inspiration to be able to drive these kind of systemic changes?
I think it's really key, it's all about collaboration, and it's all about, if we are going to make something happen, it has to be about collaboration. But I think it's very important that the collaboration starts from the right place. And I see that so much also in terms of how we're trying to make the green transition, to make the sustainable changes, that a lot of the communication is driven there also by fear. And I understand why, because we as people, we do react to fear. It's very instinct in us, right? So, but it's also very short-minded and sort of exhausting to be driven by fear the whole time. So when you hear about the global warming, the temperature rising, the sea levels, the pollution, everything, it sort of affects us. But then again, it's I think there's something much stronger. I think we need a much clearer, again, sorry about me talking about hope the whole time, but I think we need that because it's so much stronger than fear. And if we're going to bring a lot of people with us in this, and the grassroots and the mass and the wide range of people, we need to be driven by the clear hope and not like the short-term kind of fear-based communication that a lot of this is currently based by.
Yeah, and what I get as you're saying that is just this reconfirmation that, we can only drive people so far by getting a stick out, which is a lot of what's been happening with, climate change and some of the narratives behind climate change. And that's where we're all moving toward. We've got to show people a better future. We've got to be able to inspire each other. We've got to, like you say, give one another hope. Not in a false sense, but in a way of this is manageable. We can create a better future. And I truly believe that. I know you do, and all the people that we're surrounded by, the change makers that we're working with. But, a lot of people find this quite draining. They get to a certain point and they can be quite drained by it. So what do you see it takes to really be a leader taking action towards a more sustainable future for everyone? And what are the kind of challenges that you personally see, and also kind of in the systems that you're working with?
I like this question, Sarah. You know that. Well, this is one of the areas I discuss with my clients as well. And most of my clients are leaders, either in a community or in a company or in the government. And leaders, when first being approached, about the topic of contributing to a more sustainable future, I think leaders tend to agree, everyone. It's very important. But the real problem really comes when we move from talking about it to acting, right? Then the consequences kicks in, and then you start to get the conflicting goals, conflicting interests, and one of them being the classical questions on, short-term profit versus the long-term strategic or strategy envisioning a sustainable future. And when we as leaders need to make a choice in situations with pressure, we tend to lean towards the path of less resistance, right? So that's really hard. So I think great leaders, which I know that are doing a lot of things worth mentioning. The most important thing, I think, is resilience. To work on your resilience when you have set the strategy and when you have set sort of the long-term vision, including then towards the sustainable future. Be steadfast. And when obstacles, setbacks come, keep going. And also, really prioritize the long-term thinking. It will be a lot of short-term gains on the way, but to keep it alive as we go and keep that vision very, very clear. And and integrity, obviously. You need as leader to walk the talk, lead by example, adhere to the principles in all actions. And it's so easy to run from that when you are in a pressure like situations. That's why we also, we train leaders a lot in these kind of dilemmas, because you need to train many, many, many times in order to be sort of comfortable enough to still stay on the road, stay steadfast, be resilient. And the
And I know
last thing,
you're really, really aligned on all these kind of leadership behaviors that sit behind all of this, so listening and empathy and actually creating the space for others to do what we've employed them to do, and to enable others to go create this change, and the skill sets that sit behind this. And the other, like when you're talking, what comes out is this whole concept is being able to play in the old system in still creating the new system. And that's like this whole long-term, short-term thing that you're alluding to here. It can be super hard. And I always say the same, as long as you're grounding in your values and you're standing strong and occasionally apologizing because, you know, not everything's going to work out and you're perfectly imperfect as every other human being is, then you can cover so much. But it really does take this kind of real grounding, which actually comes back to where we started, doesn't it? And this knowing who you are and how you're showing up in order to be able to create this in your business. And like you say, like stick with it, stick with the journey. So what is it that, you know, what is it you see? Because you, me, Sabrina, Kathleen, everybody who's in this journey with us, we're all fairly kind of aligned. We've got similar ideas. We're challenging each other openly and we're co-creating, although, you know, theoretically, people could say you and I are competitors, for example. You know, you and I don't see it like that. We're in a position where we're happy to support each other. We're sharing our networks. We're finding ways to work together. So how do we engage more people outside of this kind of bubble that you and I sit in to really go on this journey, to take a chance with the kind of concepts and ideas that we're generating and that they'll see during this Summit and Expo?
So first you asked about, you know, engaging more people outside the bubble, right? Is that right? Yeah. That's the question, yeah. Well, first of all, I don't think it's a bubble anymore because I think the bubble became so tight and overly crowded that it bursted. I think, you know, it's everywhere now, in us, with us, around us. But still, you know, some people are driven by fear and choose to look another way and focusing, as we said, more short term, trying to protect themselves and their people and their tribes. So it's a fair enough reason. I understand the reasons why we're doing it and not engaging. And I think even if a lot of still, you know, things going on still is to a lot of these sustainability practices and things, you know, we use them to look good, and it's a lot of greenwashing and all of that. But as I said, I think the awareness of what truly matters is rising. So I don't really see the bubble for only a few anymore. It's for all of us, and conversations are taking place everywhere, but they need to happen from the right place, not from a fear-based let's fix something now within the next quarter kind of thing, but from a place where we are grounded and we are more clear.
Yeah.
Did you have a second question?
No, well? I mean, just I'm also reading what's going on in the chat, and Sabrina and Janie having a conversation about bringing in the youth and listening to the youth voice. And I actually agree that this is a really important way to kind of spread the word and to enable, because they're the ones that are going to be living in this world that we're creating at the end of the day. You know, they're the ones that are going to inherit this from us. And I definitely think there's this part about us using our voices to enable and to give the platform to them to be able to be part of that transformation. But let's just finish with maybe one change, or maybe one leader that you see that's doing something remarkable. So maybe you want to champion them, like for the impact they're making, or you've seen a company that's doing something amazing. Was that, how can we, or what is it that for you to highlight as kind of a lighthouse, if you want, the kind of things that are going on in the world?
Yeah, I will mention one. I just want to say one thing first, and that's about Green Vision, because we have when in our conversations right now, I'm a little bit worried also, have we talked enough about the tracks and the content of Green Vision? And if I may, a few minutes just to add a few things before I answer your question, and that's about, I think this summit will be amazing. I think it will be so different from any other type of conferences and summits. And been part of many, because as I said, it will be true. It will not be the biggest conference, but I think it will be the best in terms of the quality we bring in and the people that are there. And it's gonna, we're gonna have people from NGOs, from governments, from big business, from small business, startups. We're gonna go across all, and that's fantastic. That said, if there's one person who I really admire, that's a Norwegian person, believe it or not, and her name is Gunhild Stordalen. She is the founder and executive chair of EAT. EAT is a global platform of world-leading academic and research institutions, governments, businesses, foundations, nonprofit, and their vision is to have a fair and sustainable global food system for healthy people and planet, leaving no one behind. It's such a fantastic vision. They started back in 2011, I think, and are working every day so hard in order to fix sort of the global food system. And that is a challenging task, if you ask me. But what inspires me with her, Gunhild, is that her vision is so bold, it's courageous. She has an unwavering optimism and a will, and she wants to do no less than change the world. That's amazing for me. And I've never seen a person with more hope than her. She was also actually she was also actually in 2015 diagnosed with a life-threatening autoimmune disease and almost died. But luckily for us, the world, she came out well. And I think she said when she was sick, I thought I had so many years to make a difference in the world. And now I realize the urgency, the sort of the power of now. So that's amazing. And I think that's an inspiration for all of us. She's steadfast, she's long-term, and she wants to make a difference, and she's doing it as easy as that and as difficult as that. Yeah.
Amazing, cool. Please share this in the chat in all the channels so that people can go and actually have a look. We will also be sharing the link to GSE and to the Green Vision Summit and Expo. There are numerous tracks in terms of different content tracks, as Benedicte just kind of rightly pointed out, and there is a lot of content in there, but again, everything is about taking action. So just to close, my final question for you is just which of those tracks are you most excited to experience?
I think it's so fantastic that we have different tracks, because, and it's very needed because we have renewable energy, agriculture, food, and water. And all of those belongs together. They're connected. I don't think we could have had a conference covering only agriculture, only energy, only food, because it's so connected. So I hope that we really are able to also show that connectiveness with those areas. And then we have finance as well, which I think is really key. Change costs money. We know. Yeah. And
follow
even
the
before,
money.
Excuse me?
I said follow the money.
Yeah, so even before last year's COP28 meeting, many of these financial leaders, and I was part of it as well, put our heads together, how do we finance this green transition? And we don't have the answer, but there are some good solutions. So the finance track is important. The sustainable tourism and travel is really, really key. And I'm looking so much forward to that one. And then I'm moderating the one that we call Humanity and Hope, which I obviously also think is important. So I don't think I answered the question. I think it's
no. I was about to say you're avoiding this question. You're avoiding putting your finger on one. Tell us, which one are you most excited to experience?
I must say that the one we have on Hope and Humanity, where we're going to hear from our green young ambassadors from Africa. We're going to have different companies from Africa, and I hope also that this can be a showcase for many of the fantastic solutions coming from Africa. So in the Hope and Humanity track, we will have that, and we will have IDG, the Inner Development Goals, that was developed, the framework, a few years ago to help the sustainable development change. And we will have that on stage, and we will hear from leaders both in societies and companies that have done fantastic change. So for me, you know, that track is maybe a bit special. Yeah.
That's where your heart lies, yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much, Benedicte, for sharing your time with me. I know you and I can talk all night, so we'll wrap it up at this stage. I think the only thing that's left to say from our side is please come and support us, but also support us in the journey to create a more sustainable future for everybody. This isn't about me, Benedicte, Sabrina even, or the GSE team. This is really about creating that next level, taking action where there's not enough action currently happening in the world, and also keeping one another inspired on this journey of hope towards a better future. So thank you, Benedicte, so much for joining me. I'll be live again in 2 weeks with Kathleen, who's another of the team working towards the Green Vision Summit and Expo with us. If you've got questions, please share them with us. Either one of the GSC team or myself or Benedicte or any of the others will happily come back and answer them. If you want to get involved, just drop us a line. You can go onto the website and you can find everything that you need to find.
One last comment.
Go.
Okay. That is, we know, and I know there's a lot of money in the world, and to be able to do this Green Vision, there's a very small team behind it, and they haven't even got their salary for a long time. So, it's hard work from a small startup to make such a big change journey. So I'm just, also giving, what should you say, giving the opportunity, at least for companies to come in and we to support and to also be there physically and be there on stage and be there in the discussions, but also to support with the money because it's needed as well. Thank you.
Yeah, going back to the follow the money and the financial track, how we create this is obviously key. And yes, the invitation is there for people who are on this journey with us and who do want to get involved. Please reach out to the GSE team. Thank you very much, Benedicte. Lovely to speak to you, and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now, everybody.